I'll never forget the day Linda Harper, the HOA president, lunged at me, her manicured hands clawing for my keys. "Give me those damn keys right now," she snarled, "or your son's scholarship is gone." I stumbled back, gripping my key ring tighter, stunned at how fast this suburban tyrant had lost it. What started as a petty argument over farm access had spiraled into something unhinged. But what happened next taught this power-hungry woman a lesson she'd never forget. Stick with me. This tale of how a simple farm key toppled the most entitled HOA president you'll ever hear about is worth every second. How did her desperate grab for my keys unravel her entire world? Let me rewind a bit to explain how we got here. My family's been running this 50-acre organic farm for 3 generations. My grandfather founded it after World War II, my dad grew it in the 70s, and now it's mine. We take pride in our work: fresh produce for the community, award-winning cattle, and sustainable methods my son, Jake, used in his research. That research won him a top agricultural scholarship to State University. Life was good, quiet even, until the Willow Creek subdivision popped up next door 5 years ago. At first, we didn't mind the new neighbors. They knew the farm came first. But everything shifted when Linda Harper took over as HOA president. It started with typical gripes. Our tractor was too loud. The roosters crowed too early. The smell of honest labor offended their refined noses. Then came the letters, each one nastier than the last, demanding inspections and compliance with their suburban rules. What we didn't know then was that Linda wasn't just an overzealous HOA busybody. She was hiding something massive, tied straight to the governor's office. Her threat about Jake's scholarship? That was just the opening act of a drama that would rock our state. I first sensed something was wrong when our security cameras picked up movement late one night near the property line. I figured it was coyotes sniffing around the chicken coop, but the footage showed something else. Linda Harper, snapping photos with a professional camera. Odd enough, sure, but what really grabbed me was her ride. It wasn't her usual Lexus. It was a white, state-issued Chevy with government plates. I'd spent years in compliance. I knew those vehicles cold. Why was an HOA president rolling around in a state car at 11 p.m.? Each night brought more clues. Linda's state vehicle showed up at different spots, photographing our Westfield one night, then Miller's Orchard, then Dawson's Dairy Farm. She was systematically targeting every farm along Willow Creek, building what we'd later learn was called priority acquisition. I decided to dig deeper. I showed my footage to Jim Miller, who had similar clips from his orchard, plus audio of Linda on her phone, mentioning Phase 1 acquisition targets and priority development zones. This wasn't HOA nonsense anymore. It was something bigger. That weekend, I pored over public records, cross-checking names and companies. The deeper I went, the uglier it got. Linda Harper appeared in State Land Commission files as Lorraine H. Bennett, Deputy Director of Urban Development. She'd pulled the same stunt in 2 other counties, family farms rezoned for development after HOA spats. The real kicker came from Jake's scholarship paperwork. On the grant review board, Lorraine H. Bennett. The woman threatening our farm controlled my son's future too. This was a calculated push to squeeze out family farms, hitting us wherever it hurt. They didn't bank on one thing, though: my 20 years as an environmental compliance officer. I knew how to build a case, document everything, and call the right people when I smelled corruption. By Tuesday, I was ready for Linda's next move. I'd set up extra cameras, clipped a body cam to my jacket, and had my phone recording. 20 years in compliance taught me one rule: evidence is king. I'd also tipped off old EPA contacts. They were eager to hear more. I was mending a fence by the barn when Linda strutted across my field, her crisp blazer and heels dodging cow pies, clipboard raised like a weapon. She looked different, less smug, more determined, and it set me on edge. "Mr. Carter," she called, her voice dripping with fake charm, "glad I caught you. We need to discuss your property's compliance with community standards." I set my tools down, angling myself for the cameras. "Morning, MS. Harper, or should I say Deputy Director Bennett." Her mask slipped, replaced by a steely glare. "I see you've been poking around. Then you know the authority I carry. This'll be easier if you play along." She pulled a thick envelope from her bag. "New Willow Creek standards, state approved. Your farm's out of line on 17 counts. We need access for a full inspection now." I smirked. Funny timing, considering my cameras caught your late-night visits in that state car. Official business, I assume. Her cheeks reddened, but she rallied. Mr. Carter, let's be real. Your farm's blocking progress. State plans that'll benefit everyone. Jake's scholarship's under review, right? Shame if the committee flagged his research. Then she overplayed her hand, pulling out what looked like Jake's application. We've found issues, but we can fix them, and your property violations, if you're reasonable. My blood boiled, but I stayed cool. Are you threatening my son's future to steal my land? She laughed, sharp and empty. I'm offering a deal. Sign your property over to Willow Creek Development, and Jake's future's safe. Refuse, and... She shrugged, letting the menace linger. She didn't know every word was recorded. Time for my ace. Before you go on, you should know I'm not the only one taping this. The FBI down the road's getting an earful too. Fear flickered in her eyes. Then she lunged for my keys. Give me those. I'm authorized to inspect this property. It was perfect, caught on camera. An HOA president, secretly a state official, assaulting me while threatening my son's education. As she grabbed, her bag spilled, revealing a folder labeled Operation Greenbelt Acquisition. Before I could grab it, 2 FBI agents stepped from the barn. FBI, don't move. Linda's face was a portrait of shock, like she'd walked into her own trap. Agents Brooks and Patel had been waiting an hour, recording everything. Those late-night photos Linda took? My system nabbed her phone data too, synced to a state server. With a warrant, the FBI had it all. Images, docs, calls. The governor's banking on this deal. Linda yelled as they cuffed her. This goes to the top. She was right, just not how she thought. Agent Brooks showed me the scheme. Linda was part of a racket with state officials, university brass, and developers, using HOAs to force farm sales with threats from fake violations to scholarship sabotage. The Greenbelt Initiative was a sham, a land grab for luxury projects. Her folder mapped it out. Farms near suburbs targeted, HOAs weaponized, values rigged, studies faked, zoning boards bullied. They'd even used the university, promising scholarships for compliance, tanking them for resistance. 17 farm kids had their futures dangled as bait in the last year. Linda's key grab wasn't just assault, it was proof of conspiracy. As they hauled her off, she started naming names, senators, regents, CEOs, hoping for a deal. But the FBI had her cloud data and that folder. 23 farms saved, millions in fraud halted, a statewide corruption ring exposed. All because she couldn't resist my keys. Linda's arrest sparked a firestorm. By nightfall, FBI raids hit the state capitol, university offices, and developer HQs. The governor stepped aside, pending investigation. 3 senators were cuffed, and the AG dean was nabbed. It wasn't just about officials, though. It was about farmers. Over 200 families had been strong-armed into selling over 5 years, losing generational land. Jim Miller had signed a sale under insurance threats. Dawson's Dairy faced fake violations. Every farm near us had a story. Inspections, fines, delays, all tied to the Greenbelt plot. Justice rolled in fast. Linda, charged as Lorraine H. Bennett, took a plea, ratting out her cronies. She's now aiding probes nationwide. The governor and half his cabinet quit. The university board was gutted. New laws followed. The Family Farm Protection Act barred HOA overreach on farms, and the Agricultural Heritage Rights Bill shielded multi-generational farms as historical sites. Lost farms were returned. Developers paid millions in restitution. Jim got his orchard back. Dawson's record was cleared. Jake's scholarship was locked in, and they named a new fund after us, the Carter Family Agricultural Excellence Fund, for farm kids' education. The dean said it best. Standing your ground can protect more than your own land. Our win went national. The Family Farm Protection Act hit 37 states, and our barn became a hub for farmers' rights workshops. What started with Linda grabbing my keys saved America's farm heritage. Willow Creek's HOA flipped. New leaders launched a harvest festival celebrating us. A year later, the ripples keep spreading. Congressional hearings exposed the great agricultural land heist, sparking a movement. Farmers nationwide now guard their rights, and Jake's sustainable farming research is transforming the field. That key Linda tried to snatch? It's framed in our kitchen, next to our first market dollar, a reminder that one stand can unlock massive change. So, if someone's bullying you off your land, document it, know your rights, and fight. You're not just saving your farm, you're defending the American dream.